you, like me and the countless others who can't seem to force yourself to start certain tasks, no matter how easy they are, no matter how important they seem to be, sometimes you just can't force yourself to get started. Procrastination is a huge problem for those of us who are self-employed. It's a reason why you cannot get started and a clear method that is going to unlock and release you from these procrastination blocks that have been getting in the way, acting as a barrier between you and your own success.
Greek philosophers use the word akrasia to describe the state of acting against one's better judgment. We voluntarily delay a task despite knowing we will suffer as a result. This is because there are actually two conceptual forms of ourselves. Yes, there's two of you. Self number one is your present self, who is a pleasure-seeking troublemaker who demands instant gratification and constant hits of dopamine. Self number two is your future self, the self that exists later on down the line. This is the planner, the organizer, the more thoughtful self who plans future goals and desires long-term rewards that will pay off later down the road. The problem occurs, however, when you must make a decision. Because when we are in the present moment making decisions that impact our present selves, our brain prioritizes immediate gratification, despite what our future self may value. The future self may set the goals, but only the present self can take the action. And that present self, well, that present self wants that dopamine, that powerful neurotransmitter, sending messages in your brain's reward center and rewarding your body with feelings of pleasure, elevated mood, and a desire to have more dopamine. And that dopamine pull is one of the main reasons we procrastinate. You cannot rely on long-term consequences and rewards to motivate the present self. Instead, you have to find a way to move future rewards and punishments into the present moment, because that dopamine-seeking present self will always win. It is just how our brains are wired. Procrastination occurs with poor emotional self-regulation because it is actually a battle between two of our brain systems. Our limbic system, one of the oldest and most dominant areas of our brain, dealing with emotions, memory, which regulates and influences automatic behavior in response to emotional stimuli. And the prefrontal cortex, a more recently and less developed area of the brain that is responsible for planning and making conscious decisions. Because the limbic system is much stronger, it often wins the battle when we are faced with new or less pleasurable activities and choices. Whenever we begin to feel overwhelmed by certain stimuli, such as the need to do a mundane or difficult task, our amygdala triggers a fight or flight reaction because our brain is wired to see it as a threat. The result is procrastination. So if we are going to stop procrastinating, then we need to make it as easy as possible for the present self to get started and trust that motivation and momentum will come after we begin. Here are a few ways that we can do this. Option number one is make the rewards of taking action more immediate. One of the best ways to bring future rewards into the present moment is with a strategy known as temptation bundling. Bundling a behavior that is good for you in the long run with a behavior that feels good right now. The basic formula is only doing the thing that you love while doing the thing that you procrastinate on, such as only listening to audiobooks or podcasts while you are exercising, only watching your favorite show while packing your online orders for shipment, or only having your favorite snack while accomplishing a difficult task at the computer. Option number two is to make the task more achievable. First, you need to get very clear on why accomplishing your goal matters to you and emotionally explain how you will feel, because this is essentially an emotional regulation problem. If you don't take the action, how will you feel? And if you do take the action, how will you feel? Number two, break the task into smaller micro tasks in order to check them off the list faster. Take one small action towards your goal to trigger a dopamine hit. This will then result in a domino effect. Keep on repeating step number two until the task is complete. But there's more you need to learn about this before you can proceed, so click the next video to learn how to make micro-productivity work for you.